let's get to know each other. So first, I'm from Egypt. What about you? Just type your country in the chat box. Okay, Egypt, nice. Iraq, Fair. Oh, okay, I'll try to raise my voice. I just don't want to shout. This is the point. Okay. Okay, so we have Egyptians, Iraqi, and I think we had Palestinians in Manar. Okay. Mansoura. Okay, welcome. Okay, people from the UAE, Saudi Arabia. USA. Hi, Patrick. Kuwait. Okay. Qatar. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, well, this was Aisha. Oh, thank you so much, Aisha. Cairo, Kuwait. Okay, very nice. Welcome, Dua. Hi, Sharif. Hello from Egypt. Saudi Arabia. Nice to meet you, Lamia. Shubra. Oh, so we have people from all around the country. Syria. Nice to meet you. Algeria. Okay. How many are? Oh, we're still missing someone from Libya and Tunisia, Morocco, and I think we have all Arabs in one row. Nice to meet you too, everyone. Okay, I have another person from Syria. Alex. Okay, this is really great. Sure. Okay, YouTube, which is great. Syria and Morocco. Okay. Minya, Egypt. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Nice to meet you all, everyone. Okay, so I think we're gonna start now. Do we have everyone here? Okay. Okay, yes. So other people are watching through YouTube. This is really nice. Okay. Samar, can we start right now or should we wait? Okay, very nice. Okay, guys, so let me tell you how this session is going to go. Okay. First, we'll be talking about how to teach speaking, okay, and the stages of a speaking lesson. Therefore, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box or write them in a notebook. And then at the end of the session, I'll give you enough time to ask your questions so I can answer them if I haven't answered them already in the session. Okay, Wafa is raising a hand. Wafa, if you would like to say something, you can type it in the chat box. Okay, so great. So let's get started. Okay, guys. So we'll be talking about how to teach speaking in an English classroom. My name is Hamid Sharif. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about myself before we get into the session. Okay, so currently I'm a CELTA tutor with Cambridge Assessment English. I also work at Future Invest in Egypt, a professional development member, recruitment, and other things. I'm the academic manager at British Training Center. I also teach TEFL, CELTA S, CELP, and finally, I'm CELTA and Delta certified. Nice to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Okay, I'll try. Okay, I'm raising my voice now, so tell me if this is a little bit clearer for the people who can't hear me. Maha, is it better now? Okay, great. Unfortunately, no. Okay, Maha, I think you need to do something with your volume. Just increase the volume on your device. Okay, I will be the only one speaking right now, so there are no others, only me. Okay, so let's get the session going. Okay, guys. So before we start with how to teach speaking, let's talk a little bit first about speaking skills and what speaking skills do we focus on in the classroom. Okay, so I'll give you a minute or a couple of minutes in the chat box. Tell me what are, let me give you a hint, what are the two major speaking skills that we focus on in the classroom? I'll give you a minute to think. If you have an answer, just type it in the chat box. Okay. Thank you, Taghreed. Okay, confidence, communication, those are very nice things, but there are two major skills that these go under. So you need to think of the larger scale. Listening is not actually a speaking skill, nor reading. I need you to focus on speaking skills. Yes, thank you very much, everyone. So basically, the two major skills in speaking are fluency and accuracy. Okay, so again, the two major or the two most important speaking skills that we focus on in the classroom are fluency and accuracy. Under these skills, we have a lot of sub skills. Okay, but this can be for another session. But today, I'm just introducing the skills, those two, as at the end of each lesson, speaking lesson, we are focusing or we are building the whole lesson to reach one of those, okay, using other sub skills. Okay, so let's start first with the first one, accuracy. And accuracy, yes, thank you, Manar. Thank you, everyone, for your answers. Okay. And accuracy, as you can see, is basically judging a student or a learner's output against some external standards, like, and they are basically focusing on grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, or linguistic systems. Okay. So if you're teaching speaking for accuracy, this is your focus. You're building students' accuracy by focusing on grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation, and we can use many activities or different activities to achieve accuracy in the classroom. The second one, which is basically fluency, it's a little bit bigger, okay? But as most of you have mentioned, it's describing the ability to communicate. So the main idea behind fluency is to communicate your message, okay? Or to affect the listener in some way, to make him feel sad, happy, joy. Okay. It includes a lot of things, as you can see in front of you, okay? And I will give you a minute to read it quickly. But the major idea here, the major difference between fluency and accuracy is that fluency focuses on communicating the message or the intended message. Sometimes there are some problems with grammar and pronunciation, but the message is clear. However, accuracy is about delivering a message accurately, like you're focusing on grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, for example. You're not just focusing on the meaning or the message. You're focusing on the structures as well. Okay. So I hope you have finished reading. If you haven't, you will have plenty of time when you're looking at the recording after we finish. Okay, very nice. Now, this is the start of a speaking lesson procedure. We'll be talking about different stages that you can follow in your lesson. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Fluency can be about expressing the gist of the conversation or the main idea, or to communicate correctly. Yes, very nice, without many pauses to distract the listener and so on. Okay, thank you all. So now we'll be talking about a speaking lesson procedure, and what I want from you right now is to pay a little bit of attention and have a notebook and a pen and try to make sense of the stages, because we will talk about them later on. Okay, so let's imagine that we are teaching a speaking lesson in a classroom for 45 or 60 minutes. Okay, and this is one of the procedures that the speaking lesson can be applied on. Okay, first thing that we can do in a speaking lesson, or basically any lesson in the world, is to start with a lead-in. Okay, and just to lead students into the topic of the speaking task at the end, we have to start from the very beginning. So we need a lead-in. So let's imagine that our speaking lesson today, the topic or the context is difficult situations. Okay, so we will be talking about difficult situations. My lead-in could be something like this. Tell your friend about a difficult situation you had recently. What happened exactly? Okay, lead-in is not actually a warmer, okay? And we will discuss this one later. So Mirvet and Sumaya, just keep your question to the end. I will take all your questions. Okay. So again, this can be a lead-in. And of course, in this lead-in, I will not be discussing with the students. Like I should give them their space. They work in pairs or groups. They discuss the question, share ideas, and then I can elicit some of their ideas, which makes it more student-centered. Okay, so we started with a lead-in, students finished the discussion. We provided them with an opportunity to speak, and then we enlisted ideas. Okay, now we can move to a listening task. Yes, thank you, Aya, very much. Sorry for that, Asma. Okay. And as you can see from the instructions, now you're going to hear two friends discussing a problem. What is the problem exactly? So a simple task, it can be listening for gist or main ideas, or it can be listening for specific information. However, if you notice, you will find that it's about the same topic, the same theme, difficult situations or problems. Okay. Then after we finish the listening, they discuss together, they check answers, and then we provide the correct answer, and we elaborate on the listening a little bit. Okay, we can move to the next stage, which is basically useful language. And in this lesson, for example, my useful language can be about giving advice, how to give advice to someone in a difficult situation, or if he or she is facing a difficult situation or a problem. What I would focus on in such stages would be something like these expressions, the ones you see in front of you. How about, what about, why not, why don't you? And of course, I will not just show the expressions and move on. Okay. Hi, Hannah. Okay. You will have to focus on these expressions, like what follows, how about, what about, why not, and so on. Is it verb, verb plus ing? You will also need to focus on pronunciation, intonation, how we say the questions, how we show sympathy, okay, or how we show that you are providing the person with advice and not just saying anything. Now, in the chat box, try to think a little bit. I just need one more expression from everyone if you can. Okay. What other expressions can we use to give advice? So if you have any ideas, write in the chat box. You have 1 minute. Let's go. Okay, should. Very nice. Any other ideas? Okay. I advise you, if I were you, it's better. You must. Okay. Okay. Very nice. And what you just did, or what I just did, you can actually do it with the students. Like after you teach these phrases, you can ask students, what other expressions can you use? And then they will start giving you other expressions. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Very nice ideas. Thank you all. Okay. And again, this is one thing to consider: involving students in the learning process, not just you giving all the information. Okay. So after we have finished the useful language and focused on the pronunciation, the structures, what follows these expressions, and so on. Okay, what do you think the coming stage will be? Yes. So again, in the chat box, what do you think the coming stage is? So we have finished the lead in, listening, useful language. What's next? If you are a teacher in a classroom, practice, talk to each other. Okay. Prayer speaking practice. Teaching blocking words. We don't actually have blocking words in here, so there is no need to teach. Modeling, maybe. Okay. Hear from them. Feedback. We haven't done anything yet, so we can't give feedback. We need to let them speak first, then we can give feedback. Control the practice. Don't really think so. Student production, small conversation. Okay, so most of you mentioned the practice stage or speaking or role play, but there is something very important that should happen before the speaking stage. Can you think about it? Reading aloud is not actually useful, and there is no text. So use the language. If you have time, you can give them a controlled practice on the language. Yes, of course. But let's imagine that you are teaching in 45 minutes, okay? A 45-minute lesson, and you don't have a lot of time to provide controlled practice on this language and then do the speaking and so on. While listening one. Okay, now we have done the listening before the useful language. Confidence, I don't really understand this stage. So what do we do in confidence? Control the practice. Yes, thank you, Aya. We'll be focusing on ideas or brainstorming, or what some other people call preparation. Okay. So first, we need to set the task. Okay, we need to tell them about the speaking task that they are going to do. Is it a role play? Is it a discussion? Is it a debate? Okay. Okay, we'll come to this one in a moment. Okay, you need to tell them about the task, give instructions. If they're working in pairs, you need to set the pairs, like your A, your B, your A, your B, and so on. If they're working in groups, again, you need to set the groups, your B, again, before moving to anything else. Okay. And then after you tell them about the speaking task and you set the task and give instructions and so on, yes, of course, you can use ICQs to check they understood, and then give them preparation time before they start speaking. Okay, students need some time to prepare and brainstorm their ideas before they start with the speaking task. They need to take notes, what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, maybe some vocabulary not to forget. Planning time, exactly. Okay, so we call it preparation time or planning time before the speaking. And this stage is very important, because if you do not do the stage and move directly to the speaking, students will be worried about the grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, ideas, and everything, which will stop fluency a little bit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and then after we finish setting the task and giving them the preparation time, we ask students to speak. Okay, so for example, students will be working in pairs, A and B. Each one of them has different cards, different situations, and both of them need to tell the situation to a friend, and the friend needs to give advice. So for example, this is a student A, and this is for student B. Okay, and as you can see, the situations are pre-prepared, so you save them time of writing situations. They just have to prepare their ideas when they are starting to speak. Self-confidence is very important, yes, of course, but we're giving them planning time to give them confidence when speaking. But I don't actually understand what else can you do in this context to promote self-confidence? What do you think before they start speaking? Yes, of course, self-confidence is amazing. It's very important, but who said it's not? Okay. Okay. So now students, let's imagine that students are doing the role play or the conversation. My question is, what is your role as a teacher while students are speaking? Again, in the chat box, type some ideas. What will you be doing while they are speaking? Encourage. Yes. Okay, very nice. The correct word here would be monitoring and listening to students or observing. Instructions, no, we gave instructions before. Okay. Type. While students are speaking, our job is to monitor. Okay. They are speaking together. Your job is to monitor, take notes. Okay. They might make some mistakes, which is absolutely fine. So please do not interrupt because this will stop their fluency. Okay. Take notes to correct later on. Of course, if the message or if the people speaking, the message is not clear or something is blocking the message, you can clarify it, then let them speak again. So we monitor. Okay. Our primary objective is to take notes, to support the students, to motivate them while they are speaking. Okay. For example, if you hear someone saying something very nice, you can say, good, keep going. This is very nice, and so on. You're encouraging them all the time. And of course, this will build confidence while they're speaking. Okay. Yes. Very nice. So you have all the good ideas, everyone. And now, so let's imagine students are speaking. You took the notes. Everything is fine. So what will you do next? What do you think? Feedback. Nice. Okay. And what kind of feedback? We have recorded the mistakes while we are monitoring. So what kind of feedback would you give? Thank you, Manar. This is one thing. Okay. One of the mistakes that teachers normally make at this stage is to jump into correcting the mistakes immediately. Like they have finished speaking. Okay, guys, take a look at these mistakes. You did this, and that. There is a very important step that you need to do before focusing on their mistakes. Don't mention names. Yes, this is one of the things, not to mention names. But again, we're not talking about correcting the mistakes. There is a small thing that we need to do before we start correcting mistakes. Adapting answers from others, very close. Accepting ideas, this not actually a discussion, it's something that we call, of course, after the speaking task, it's something that we call content and language feedback. Okay. Content feedback is actually very important. So let's imagine students have finished speaking. Speaking, okay. Okay. So again, whether it's speaking for fluency or accuracy, okay, we need some content feedback before we start with language feedback. Okay. So first of all, we talk to them about the topic, like what did your friend say? What was the problem? What advice did you give? Okay, was it effective or not? And so on. We try to elicit some ideas about the discussion, and then we can start with language feedback. And as you said, everyone, we shouldn't add names to the mistakes. We shouldn't tell them that you did this mistake or that mistake because it's embarrassing. Okay, so we should basically do it anonymously. And try as much as possible to write, yeah, because of course you'll be taking notes and you will need to write it on the board, for example. Okay. What you should do is write it while students are speaking. Okay, while students are speaking, not after students finish speaking and then you start writing on the board, because it will take time and it will like leave them doing nothing. So just put that in mind. Minna, I'm so sorry, but this is a session for teachers, English teachers. And then you can start to invite students to look at the board, look at the board and try to correct the mistakes, or try to find the mistakes and correct them, which is always a good idea. Okay, and then you can provide your own feedback on their problems. And of course, again, one very important thing is to add both things, correct language models and incorrect or inaccurate language models, for the students to know that you acknowledge the good things they do or the good structures they use and so on. And this is very encouraging. Ahmed, point 5 is the speaking. We mentioned it while we're speaking about this one here. It's the speaking task. Okay. What do you mean by content? Okay, so let me explain again what I mean by content feedback. Okay, so if you take a look, you'll find that this is the speaking task. Okay, we have some situations. Okay, and students need to speak to each other, try to find solutions, or try to give advice to each other for these problems. So after they finish the discussion, the first thing that I need to do is to ask the students, okay, what did your friend tell you? Was the advice good? Was it beneficial? So acknowledging the discussion after they have finished speaking, just listing a couple of ideas from a couple of students, and then you can start with language feedback. Hope it's clear now. Okay, everyone? Any other questions related to content or language feedback before we leave this part? Feedback, sometimes negative feedback. Yeah, it's like we don't need to say this was a big mistake and shout and so on. We can just tell them try to correct it, and they will be better next time. So yeah, thank you, man. Okay, now if you take a look, you'll find that these are the stages of the lesson. I would like you to take a moment, look at them, and try to organize them, starting from number 1 till the last one. Okay, and of course, as we all know, the lead-in is the first stage. So try to think about the others. Try to remember. Just let me know in the chat box when you're done, when you're ready. We'll discuss this point later on. Okay, so right now, let me know in the chat box when you have the stages in place. So Ahmed, it's not actually very clear. Sorry. Because you have pre-lead useful. Yes, thank you, Mervet. Leadin is the first. Okay, so first we make the teacher Leadin. Okay. Okay, so let me give you the stage, and quickly in the chat box, give me the number. Do you think it's stage number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Okay, so Leadin, which stage is it? Which number? Very nice. Okay, nice. What about the listening? 2. Very good. No, 2. So the second stage is the listening. Okay, what about the useful language? 3. Very good. And then what about preparation time and setting the task? 4. Okay, fantastic. Speaking task? 5. And finally, content and language feedback. This is number 6. Okay, very nice, everyone. Thank you so much. So those are the stages in here. Okay. And this is what we have been discussing from the very beginning about the difficult situations and so on. Okay. Now I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay. Try to think, what is the aim of each stage? Why do we do each stage? Okay, thank you, man. Okay. Standard sequence. Sorry, Mohsen, is that a question or a comment? Mustafa is raising a hand. Okay, Mustafa, if you have a question, just ask me in the chat box. I can see the chat right now. Okay, so organize. Okay. The Leadin to help understand and get into the situation. Very close. To prepare students. Okay. To hear fluent language, maybe a source of knowledge. Okay. Familiar with the topic. Very close to enhance the language. Okay. You're actually very close, everyone. Okay, let's take a look together and see. And focus on the grammar. Okay. Speaking will focus on grammar if it's speaking for accuracy. If you're just focusing on accuracy, not fluency. Leadin is as a warmer. Sorry, but they can be two different things. Okay, type. Let's see. Okay, most of what you mentioned are valid. Okay. So if you take a look here, you will find first the Leadin, and this is to generate interest in the topic, to motivate the students, to introduce the theme, to activate their schemata or prior knowledge about the topic, to engage students and to motivate them. Okay, so this is for the Leadin. Second, the listening is actually to provide a model with the task they are expected to do. And as if you remember, our lesson was about problems. So the listening was about two people. One is telling his friend the problems, and the other friend is providing advice. So it's actually a model of what the students are supposed to do. Okay. Mustafa, we are talking about speaking stages for a lesson, speaking lesson stages. So those are the stages and the aims. When anybody speak, forget grammar structures. Okay, Maham, sometimes they forget grammatical structures, but if the message is fine, we can let it go for a moment. So we do not stop the fluency. As long as the message is clear, we can focus on that in feedback. Okay, the aim of the listening here is not actually, yes, of course, practicing listening is always an aim if we're teaching, if we are using listening, but our main aim for listening in this lesson is to provide a model. Okay. It can be appropriate for primary stages, but we will need to make some modifications, of course, with the topic, the presentation of things, and so on. Okay. Moving to the useful language, the one that was how about, what about, and so on. And this is to present some useful language that will be using in the speaking, like they will be using this language in the speaking task at the end. Some sort of helping students to speak. Okay. And then we have setting the task and the preparation time. Okay. And this is to provide the instructions, tell them about the task. And of course, the preparation is to brainstorm ideas and to prepare their notes before they start speaking. Speaking task, and this is to practice fluency or accuracy, of course, if you're focusing on accuracy. And finally, content and language feedback, and this is to provide students with feedback on the content of the discussion and some error correction on their outputs. Okay, everyone, take a look at the stages and tell me if you have a question in mind about these stages. Okay. Seems everyone is okay. Okay, thank you, Monor. Okay, guys, now let's take a look at these are part of the presentation time of the session. I'm sorry, but let's take Tagreed's question first. Okay, part of the presentation time. Yes, all these activities happen in the session. Okay. Language feedback of how to correct the grammar. Okay. It can be correcting grammar, but you need to focus on the items you presented in the session. And if you told them how about, what about, why don't you, and so on, this is what you focus on in feedback, plus other things, but this is your main focus. It can be grammar, it can be vocabulary use, and it can be pronunciation, because this is speaking. Thank you, Sahar. And sometimes we can actually focus on how to improve your fluency, like how not to have a lot of pauses and so on. Yes, we focus on the target language. Thank you, Dalia. Okay. So moving to these different activities here. Okay. Again, I would like you to take a moment and try to think which ones are fluency, which ones are for accuracy, and which one can be both. Okay. Okay, can you write in the chat box which ones you think will be for fluency? Only for fluency. Iman, we're not talking about the lead in, we're talking about the activities in front of us in here. Okay. Okay. Very nice. Okay, guys. So let's take a look, for example. Problem solving activities. I think this can be fluency. This can focus on fluency more because you can teach students like how to interrupt politely, how to present a reason, and so on. So this can be fluency. Storytelling, of course, fluency. Okay. Ranking activities. Again, this can be fluency. Debating, fluency. Brainstorming, project work, simulations like doing a role play, ordering activities, again, can be fluency. Instruction giving, I think this is more of accuracy because the instructions need to be accurate. Describing can be fluency. And again, you can change any activity from being speaking for fluency into accuracy. Focus on grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, not speaking without pauses and so on. So most of them can be fluency, and you can adapt them to be for accuracy. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. So now we have some time. If you have any questions, describing should be accuracy. It depends. If you just want them to be fluent and describe without pauses and find synonyms so they do not stop, this can be for fluency. If you would like them to focus on specific adjectives to use in the describing and so on, it can be for accuracy. There was this question at the beginning of the session that a lead-in is normally a warmer, okay, or vice versa. So some people, they can be the same. However, some other people say that a warmer doesn't have to be related to the lesson. It can be something like a revision on a previous lesson. It can be something like a chat before the lesson starts. This can be a warmer, and the lead-in has to be related to the lesson you're teaching. Okay. Yes, I agree. You can use any of the activities to cover both skills. It depends on how you use it. Ice breaking, yes, if it's the first session in the semester. I agree. Okay. Any other questions, everyone? Yes, like warmers and lead-in normally gives confidence. When they start speaking, they're engaged and motivated and so on. To start speaking only. Okay, just a minute. Okay. To start speaking only 1 minute or more. By the way, when you talk slots, you have a lot of I'm sorry, I don't understand the comment, Maha. Can you please write it again? Recalling ideas. You mean brainstorming ideas. If they have problems with brainstorming ideas, then you can provide them with something to help, a template, some guiding words to help them brainstorm ideas like when, why, where. So this can help them a lot. Thank you, Sahar. How can we improve students' fluency? Okay, to improve fluency, you have to focus on the sub skills, like how to speak without pauses. Maybe you can use fillers. So you have to teach them fillers and how to use them. Okay, maybe you need to teach them how to use synonyms or explaining things if they cannot remember the word itself. There are plenty of things that you can use to improve fluency. How to deal with weak students in the class in speaking. The question is actually very general because you can teach speaking to any class, any level. Depends on the kind of activity and what you want them to do. So you can follow the same procedures, but it will be a little bit simpler in the task itself and the language, of course. Which one goes for accuracy? You can use instruction giving. This is definitely accuracy. All the others can be accuracy as well, depending on how you use them. Pictures about the topic. Of course, you can use pictures and they can brainstorm. Yes. Okay, guys, any other questions? How to deal with weak students in the class? Maybe let them repeat the other students again. No, this will be very, very difficult if you let them repeat what other students say. Normally, if you are talking about a language class, they will all be the same level. Okay, so if they are starter or elementary, you can provide them with guided speaking practice. For example, you can get them a role play, missing some lines, they need to complete it, then they can see the role play while speaking. This can help them a lot. Yes, I agree. Beginners will not speak for a long time, and this is why I'm saying you need to give them like guided practice. So again, you can give them a role play to complete, then use it in the speaking, and after they feel confident and they know what to do, they can do a role play on their own. Yes, I agree. We will discuss this one, Mervet, about the PowerPoint and see what we can do. Okay. Any other questions, everyone? Always welcome. Okay. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. It was lovely being here with you today. I think Ms. Sahar can answer this one. If you have any other sessions, we can get them a rule as a teacher to get the ability to speak and have a confidence. What do you mean? Okay, I'm sorry, Zahra, I couldn't understand it. Okay. Simulation is to give them activities that simulate real life, a role play, a waiter and a customer, and so on. Thank you, Safa. Always welcome. Hi, Fatin.
I have one comment.
Sure.
I'm not Miss Sahar. I'm Miss Samar.
No, I'm so sorry. I have a lot of stuff in front of me. I'm so sorry for that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamid, for this amazing session, fruitful session. You are welcome here. صراحة يعني ما فيش كلمات بالإنجليش هتكمل شكرنا يعني بصراحة. ربنا يبارك لك، حاجة بصراحة من الحاجات المستوى العالي الراقي يعني.
ربنا يخليك يا رب. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you all for being here. It was lovely being with all of you. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.